taking, this is our time. Just breathe, this won't be a hard fight. The truth cash shadows in the night.
Hey, what's up, Johnny? How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. What's up?
Man, I can't
How's
say
life?
I can't say I haven't missed you because I have, man.
Yeah, you've been doing a good job in my absence.
I'm just trying to do the best I can. I know you're on vacation and you have other things going on, and life is great in your world, and that's
Yeah.
what's important. That's what's important.
Yeah, it's busy. It's about to get a lot busier too with the we only got about 2 months left and we're gonna have a newborn. And
Wow.
I'm uh I'm 45 years old this year. Never thought
Yeah.
never
You,
thought I'd be starting over again. But it's
yeah.
great. We're looking
I,
forward to it.
I don't know how you do it, buddy. I really don't. I couldn't imagine, when I was 45. Um, God, I couldn't imagine doing it then. But here you are, man. You're either a tough guy or glutton for punishment.
No, it's basically I get up every morning and ask myself, why the hell does Nikki stay with me? Like, what is she thinking? And because I think that every day, and when she says, "Hey, I want another kid," I have no other choice but to say, "Okay, you get another kid." uh,
That's the trade off, huh? You know.
yeah, it's a trade-off. And
Uh,
you know what? I actually made a deal with her is kind of jokingly, but her and I, the one thing we've always argued about every time throughout from the very beginning when we started dating till now is vehicles. We both have the complete and total opposite taste in vehicles. There's vehicles that she literally won't let me have. There's, just it's always just a big fight every time, we
she won't
go to
let you.
buy a new vehicle.
She won't let you have the
So,
Hellcat.
right, she won't let me have the Hellcat. But this time, when we were talking about doing this, long story short is after my son was born, she decided that that was it, that we were done. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're done. Well, 2 years, so I had the process. I took care of things myself. 2 years later, she changes her mind. So I do the process of reversing that first process. Okay, and then that didn't work. Uh, and
You're not,
then
you're not supposed to be allowed to reverse it.
yeah, and then we get to the point where she's like, "Well, let's do this. Let's have it this way." And I said, "Yes." Well, the deal was the next car that we get, I get to pick it out, and you can't say anything about
Nice.
it. Yeah, but it didn't work because we were talking about vehicles the other day, and then she started complaining about the ones I wanted. So I still don't think I got. I
But I
didn't
gave you,
win.
but I
I
gave you a
still,
baby, dear. I
but I
gave
gave
you
you
a
a
baby.
baby. Yeah,
You get to enjoy it for the next lifetime.
I'm definitely not telling my children that or my new child that story. I'm pretty sure they feel bad that I traded them for
And
a vehicle.
you know what though? She might cave and let you name your child Chevy or Ford or something like
Yeah, yeah. Come here, Jeep Wrangler.
that.
Uh, anyway,
Yeah.
that's enough about me. How's your life doing?
Been really good. Still busy. Didn't get out last weekend. It rained one day, and then the next day, work called. Had to go in. So I will be getting out this weekend. Put my trail cams back out. Looking forward to that. Still trying to figure those things out. Still having issues and why one's working only when I walk up to it, but nothing in between. And
Yeah.
the other one's doing fine. I did narrow it down where it's not 1,000 photos and videos in an 8-hour period. I just dropped the sensitivity down to medium, and that seemed to have helped. Um, Still working on it, and but still shopping for gear. Still, you know, you always think you're done, but then you see something like, wow, that's so much better than what I got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But
I just got two brand new body cameras, and the hope is by the time I've been having activity the past 2 months, but they haven't been nearly as obvious as they normally are. But by the time fall rolls around, I hope to have at least 4, if not 5, body cameras and have them rigged to where I've got 360 degrees of coverage when I go down to the sitting spot. So that's my
Now,
goal here.
you bought a camera that I use, which is the Bob Love, right? The little
Yeah.
small little. Now, just throwing it out there, very inexpensive. And I don't know if you remember when I was out there with you guys in Georgia, but there is, and I'll find it and send you what I'm talking about. But it's a triangular shaped rubber um, attachment, and it's a magnet. So it's 2 pieces. You put one on the inside of your shirt, one on the outside, and clink, the whole thing. You just hook your camera to it. Boom. I use it as a body cam on my vest. So I put
Right.
that part on the inside, one part outside. Bam! I could put it on the back of my backpack. I also put it on my tent. So if I go to bed, I have it on the tent, looking over the campsite or whatever. So I'll send that to you because it's lightweight, flexible. I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
definitely. Send me the link and I'll take a look at it.
yeah, and I think it only costs like $35 for it. You know what I mean? But it's like
Yeah.
triangle shape, so each corner has a pretty large magnet, maybe the size of a quarter, and it does. You hear it go, and it's on. You know what I mean?
Excellent. I set the I'll be putting it's supposed to already be up. Unfortunately, it took too long to load and I had to stop it. But I'm putting up another video tonight. I had 3 nights in a row where they were messing with the cameras that I had left out. First, it was my regular cell phone. Then it was my night vision phone the next night. And that's the video where I got the eye shine and the rock throw. Well, what I haven't talked about and what I haven't put out yet is the third night. The third night it's a 2-hour long video. I set up the night vision camera in the same spot. I walk around in my sitting spot. I stay there for 30 minutes. I come back inside. I leave the camera out there. It's a 2-hour video. There's about 45 minutes of noises. It's super obvious that they come up behind it. They're throwing rocks. They're hitting things. There's a vocalization. They hit the tripod, I think, 3 different times.
Wow.
Like, it's wild. So hopefully I'll have that video up, if not later this evening, tomorrow. So, but anyway, I had the night vision camera facing forward. And then, not that night, but once I got those cameras, I rigged up the tripod to where I've got the night vision camera facing in the front, and then I've got the body cameras facing in the other 2 directions. So it's almost 360 degrees of coverage. And I left that out the other night, but I haven't been able to go through the video yet. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Right on. I look forward to it. I watched your last one, and it sounded great. Everything came over great. But again, when I watch any videos or anything like that, it's usually on my phone, and I always have my earbuds in, so everything comes out really clear, really good, and stuff like that. So, it was good deal. I haven't been able to put anything out lately, but hopefully this weekend. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about our guest here. We have Scott. I hope I say this right. Brusch. He's from Michigan. Somebody I'd chatted with on one of the Facebooks and stuff like that, and we were talking and everything. He's had some encounters. He's also a researcher, and so we got to talking and wanted to bring him on the show. I'm going to let him tell more about himself because he knows him better than I do. So let's bring Scott on and get started here. Hey, what's up, Scott?
What's going on, guys?
Scott, man, good to meet you.
You too, man. I've heard a lot about you. He said you're the good-looking one.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he set the bar really high. No offense.
Hey, man. Hey, Johnny. AI can only do so much.
Yeah. Oh my God. You keep putting those pictures up, and I swear to God, I look just like, what's his name? It's Steve something, Rhinell or whatever, the dude from Meat Eater.
I can't see it now. I can't unsee it.
That's exactly what the AI did to my face. I look just like him. And he looks like Walter White from Breaking Bad. So the other day I said, yeah, welcome to our podcast. It's deer jerky and meth.
You might get some followers, man.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had somebody comment on it, and so I put the picture up there, and they commented, they go, "Oh, hey Rick, man, you look great." Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's AI. Of course, I look great. I can add muscles. My hair can go back to brown instead of gray.
oh man.
Awesome.
But I have been enjoying it. It's kind of freed me up on other things because I can use it to do things that I usually have to create myself and find this and find that. So it's working out pretty good for me as far as what I want to do, especially creating discussions. I've been creating a lot of discussions lately, trying to get people thinking, talking, and stuff like that. As long as they're respectful and stuff like that. It's really funny because I'll post that stuff on numerous sites, and on Johnny's site, very respectful. My site, very respectful. This site, very respectful. But man, there's some people that are cutthroat and will fight over their comments, and it's a simple discussion. I don't get why people are so unhappy.
People just ready to keyboard fight, man. That's all it is.
No, yeah.
So
So Scott, tell us about yourself, man. How where are you from? What's your normal life like, and how'd you get involved in this crazy topic?
Well, man, my Bigfoot story is a little bit different than most. I actually started getting into Sasquatch when I was 6 years old. I grew up in northern Michigan, small little town of Fairview. We actually had a graduating class of 22. And it was 1992. We were down in the library, and at that time, it was those Magic Eye books. You remember those? Like where you could look, and it was like 3D pages and find stuff? Calvin and Hobbes was big, Garfield. I'm like, let's go over to the paranormal section. There was this book that jumped out at me with that orange duct tape on the binding, which was pretty standard for most schools back in the day. And it was On the Trail of Bigfoot by Marion T. Place. And that was the first Bigfoot book I ever read. And once I opened it, it was over. It was like the book pulled me in. And then I was like, these got to be out here, man. There's got to be something out there. It was more than just a passive interest in monsters and aliens. It was more like a come to me, Scott. Let's do this. And then after that, it just stayed, man. I was just hooked on it. And then my very first actual experience was in July of 2023. Me and my girlfriend had got a Airbnb because we live right downtown. Excuse me. It's nothing but sirens and all that kind of crap all the time. So I'm like, let's go like 5 miles south and, get off the grid a little bit. So I got this Airbnb, and it was in the middle of nowhere connected to this farmer's property. So we're staying around the fire just outside of it. It was basically like a camper on top of like a deck platform they had made. It had a solar power crank to be able to use the shower and stuff. It was pretty primitive, but it was pretty cool. And we're sitting around the fire, and all of a sudden I'm thinking this could be kind of squatchy territory. It's really thick. It's like a mile to get back to the driveway to even get out. You have to hike in once you park. Starts getting late and dark, and I start hearing wood knocks. At first I'm thinking it could be anything, could be anything at all, whatever. But then they kept on getting more. Oh, there's my photo bomb. I got 3 cats, so they're probably going to pop in from time to time, just so you know.
That's
And-
all right. I got cats too. It might happen here also.
And it's
Dude,
like, you
I
want to
gotta
go in front
say
of the
something,
camera
Johnny.
now?
The other day
was
when
that?
you were on, that is a huge cat that you have, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That,
Well,
that
when we get near the end, I'll go into a discussion about that cat. It's actually got a mental problem where it was left
it's got an
trapped in a
obesity
house.
problem too.
Yeah, it literally almost starved to death, and my wife saved it, and now it's got actual mental issues to where it's got to eat all the time. So we got it on a diet. It's crazy. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, that's awesome, man. But yeah, mine are rescues too. But we're sitting around the fire, and all of a sudden we're hearing these wood knocks. And it's almost like now that I'm looking back on it, it was like the Bigfoot saying, hey, there's people here, just kind of alerting each other rather than, any other thing that they might be doing. And they started to get more rapid, like more frequent. And then it started to feel like stuff was like closing in on us. And I'm like, dude, there's deer out here. There's probably a couple bears out here. It could have been anything. But we're like, all right, we can't really see anything now because the canopy was thick, dude. It was so thick. This was in the middle of Athens, Ohio, which is about 25 miles or so from Hocking Hills. So that's kind of squashy territory that way anyway. That's a pretty big hotspot. And we go back inside the house, and that's when it started, man. We're sitting there, and we're hearing footsteps. I had passed out at one point, and my girlfriend woke me up screaming, saying, "There's something walking outside. There's something walking outside." And I'm hearing the footsteps, just heavy bipedal, just strolling on up to see what's up. And then all of a sudden they just stop, man. It's like they just vanished. And I'm like, I'm not going outside, dude. I am not going outside right now to see what this is. And after that, I'm like, let's just try to go back to sleep. The doors are locked. We got the gun ready, whatever, just in case of what it might be. And it was just one of those little like camper door type locks, just kind of flip it over. Later on, about 2 a.m., I would have to say it had to have been, something grabbed the door and was like trying to actively pull it open. And I'm like, this could be humans, but the closest human to us was probably at the other campsite, like 2 miles on the other side of the farm. As far as I knew, there wasn't anybody else out there. And we were just taking pictures and stuff around the fire. Actually forgot that detail. When I was hearing the stuff, I'm like, whatever, let's just film in the general direction we're seeing stuff. You always catch your evidence later on anyway. When you go over it, you usually don't catch it right away. And then that next day, man, after we left and got back home, I was going over all the evidence, and we had literally had probably 5 or 6 Sasquatch were probably circling us. Had they been the aggressive type, who knows? I might not be here to tell the story, And I have some photos of that experience too. I'll actually send them to you. I know we can't post them up because none of us are smart enough to use StreamYard yet, but at some point we will be, and we can do it. But I'll send them to you anyway. And this thing's holding a sheep, man. This thing's holding a sheep from the farm that this property is on, which they're notorious for stealing livestock anyway, especially kind of like in the Ohio foothills and all that kind of stuff. Like they're pretty big about taking livestock down there. I asked the guy, I was like, dude, are you guys missing any livestock by chance? He's like, yeah, we're missing a sheep. Why? And I'm like, well, I don't know if you're going to believe it or not, but we have a Bigfoot holding your sheep. He probably took it off and fed his family with it. So he confirmed it was missing. And I'm guessing that was the sheep that we saw the Sasquatch holding. It's a pretty impressive picture because it's
you didn't actually see it yourself, but you got it. Go ahead, kind of walk us through in detail exactly what you did when you were filming and exactly what was going on.
Here's the fire. Here I'm here. He's kind of here off to the left. We're hearing the stuff off to my right. And I'm like, I can't see anything because it's that weird kind of bluish twilight hour where you can't really see much. You have glasses, Rick. You can't see nothing at that time. And I'm just like, I'm going to zoom in and film. I can't make nothing out right now, but that don't mean I can't go over it later, turn up the contrast, brightness, all that stuff. And that's when we just went back over the photos. My girlfriend's a huge skeptic. She hates how much I talk about Sasquatch. She hates how much I'm constantly like wanting to get more involved with it. But after that night, she's not yet a believer, but she's a little more than a non-believer because she's like, I have no doubt something that was like 8 or 9 feet tall walked up to that window. And if she wouldn't have woke up or I wouldn't have woke up, who knows what could have happened. Because at that time, we're like, we don't know what this could be, man. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's feral people cases and stuff you're reading about all the time. It could have been anything, but the next morning, because it had rained a little bit that night, there were some tracks and stuff around the camp. We had dragging noises throughout the night, like somebody dragging a stick. She's like, oh, it's probably just raccoons climbing on the camper. I'm like, all that activity coupled with everything else we had going on, man, I don't think so. The scariest thing by far was after the door tug happened. And I'm like, all right, grab the gun. I'm like, if we have to, I got no problem using this worst case scenario. But after that, it stopped. We thought we had kind of got away from the activity for the night. Something charged the side of the cabin. Picture Michael Johnson trying to run through a cabin wall, just nonstop, just slammed into it, slid the whole camper over on the foundation a little bit. I was kind of half asleep when that happened, thank God, because it would have been a lot more terrifying than it was because I wasn't fully with it, because that woke me out of a dead sleep because none of us had slept. We're terrified of what the hell whatever going outside is. And after going over that footage, I'm like, I've always believed. Now I know. Now I'm a knower. And now it's like, I'm like, all right, man, I'm obsessed. It's a new rabbit hole. It's no longer, is Bigfoot real? It's, yeah, Bigfoot's real. What is Bigfoot? That's where I'm at with it now. That story it's pretty terrifying, but like at the same time, I was kind of hoping for that. Being a believer and a researcher, that this is the kind of things that can be scary, but you kind of want to experience them yourself too.
Right.
It's like, give me all the scary, man. I don't want to see any of the mean ones that want to rip me apart for a midnight snack, but go ahead and give me the phenomenon of all these great cases that we've read about over the years. And that was by far one of the best.
So
that's basically, yeah.
Are you still with the same girl, girlfriend?
Yeah, we're actually getting married next June.
Oh, well, congratulations.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So how is she? Yeah, suck her.
Yeah, I was like, Bigfoot's going to officiate, so you better just get used to it.
Yeah. So she's pretty much aware that her future is probably going to involve a lot of Sasquatch research.
She's well aware.
Yeah.
She's well aware for sure. And it's like, you don't have to go with me, but you're going to have to at least pretend and humor me when I show you some stuff. Babe, isn't that cool? Sure, right. Babe. That's really cool. Like, you're going to have to humor me at least.
Yeah, I've put up with that for years. the eye roll and the half paying attention. And yeah, I get that.
Yeah. She's all like very scientifically driven with it. And I'm like, that's fine. But you also have to step out of that a little bit too, because we don't know what the hell it is. So we kind of have to be open to all possibilities, you know? She doesn't think it's paranormal. She believes it's like a relic hominid, some sort of primitive species of human that still exists, something like that. So she does believe if it's real, it's not just some primate or gorilla, the species that's we've evaded us for 300 years. You know, She follows the same sort of primitive human type vibe that I do.
Well, I think it's actually really good whenever somebody's skeptical like that, because just like with my wife for years, she knew something was going on and she put up with it, but she really only started to believe me and understand what was going on after experiencing things herself, because she is a skeptic, which actually made things better. Now she comes and tells me when weird things happen or when there's a throw and stuff like that. So that's good, man. It's actually good to be a skeptic like that.
It is. And I've actually talked her into when I'm off with you guys, we're going to head out to my research site and check out some of the trail cameras, maybe do a little like night operation. I talked her into going with me. So who knows, maybe something will scare the hell out of her, or she'll get a whoop or a growl or something in her ear, and then she'll be a full on believer. So
you should walk her in it easily. Take her out during the day. He's jumping right into a night investigation, man.
That's how she is. She's like, if Bigfoot's real, take me to Bigfoot. I'm like, I mean, I'm not saying that what's out there is Bigfoot, but I know it's not human, and I know it's not a bear.
What I would encourage to do is, if you're taking her out there, give her a task. Like, hey, here is a notebook, here's a pen, and document. Just write things down. Make her a part of the research and stuff like that. You know, if you heard something, write down the time that you heard it. You know, stuff. You know, just give her a little task and have her be a part of it. You know, and then she'll progressively get more and more and more involved, and before you know it, it's Team Buff Nerd. So
that's awesome, man. I never even thought of that. The fact that I got her to go, and it was actually her kind of came to me, because I'll tell her, I'll be like, hey, me and Jake, that's my research partner and best buddy. I'm like, me and Jake are going squatching. We actually have a thing where we get Taco Bell when we're done, and I call it Squatcho Bell. So it's got a nice little ring to it, kind of like a mandate sort of vibe. And every time I talk to her about it, she's like, that actually sounds really fun. Can I go sometime? I'm like, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you talk about this this research area, what did you find that right after this event? Walk us into what you did next, pretty much.
Now, I have lived in Monroe since about 2011, and those hiking trails, I've always used them to like work out on, go to clear my head, like a mental health hike, or go for a jog in the morning. They're great for bikers, hikers, all that kind of stuff. And during those times, I would always see like weird teepee structures back there, but I really wasn't into it that deep at the time. I was just kind of like, it was more of I'm obsessed with Bigfoot, but I'm not really putting in all the legwork. I'm not really in the field research aspect of it yet. So I didn't think much of it. Like, there's no way. I was still in the mindset that Bigfoot had to be like deep in the like Colorado Rockies. He had to be isolated from us. You know what I mean? I was beyond the fact that he was right under our noses. They're like near every major city. We actually just had a sighting not a month ago over the Michigan-Ohio border of a Sasquatch in somebody's trash can. And that's about 20 miles south of me, like right now. Like if I would have got word of that, then I'd be on it, man. I'd be heading that way. You know what I mean? I hope to expand the page into more of a, let me meet some eyewitnesses. Let me check out your property if you need any help, that sort of thing.
Well, I'll tell you a good tool is, and I've said this in the past on the show and different things, and even on my channel is, the Bigfoot Mapping Project is a great tool. You download the app. I think it's a one-time fee of $1 or something, I think. But anyways, you can zoom into your area and surrounding areas and see what's been reported. Now, it's not every report, people don't report, but I try to encourage people to report it. So it gives an opportunity for researchers to look at it, and the only problem is it doesn't give you who gave the report, no personal information. It just tells you what happened and where it was at. But if you look at it and say, hey, that's public land, I can get in there, you can go in and check it out. So definitely look at that resource when you're researching, and you'll see, like even your current research area, you'll see if anybody else has done a report or something like that, because I missed in a 2-day period on Thanksgiving about 2 years ago. There was 2 sightings on 2 different days on Thanksgiving weekend at the same location by different people. Like one day was one group, next day was another group. Both of them reported it on the Bigfoot Mapping Project, but I hadn't checked the app until the following week. And then I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I was in my research area. I could have been there instead.
Yeah. That's cool. Like, does it update like instantly once somebody submits a report or something like that? It's like a live database, basically.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty instant. And he's made it even larger. He went back and took all the sightings that John Green had documented in his career, and he put them on there as well. So it's all color coded, so you'll know what's recent, what's past. But when you click on it, on whatever it is, it gives you a report. You can read the report, stuff like that. Sometimes there's pictures, sometimes they're not. But it really does help in the research field. But again, like I said, the people that put the report in, it does not ask their name, phone number, nothing like that. So you won't be able to reach out to them. So with that resource, and then of course going to the BFRO website and looking at your state and counties and stuff like that, you can narrow things down as well.
Okay, I'll have to check it out, man, for sure. Google Maps comes in pretty handy too, because I have a theory. We have a lot of like huge drainways around here. And I'm thinking a lot of these things are getting around relatively unnoticed by taking these drainways and these like caverns, the subterranean systems. They're coming across the runway each night, where I get most of the activity. And it's like, we're not seeing any tracks. However, there is a good 8-foot wide drain that runs right across to that tree line. I'm thinking they're coming through there. So I got some trail cameras kind of on like a 180, kind of looking at that spot, sort of tucked in to see if anything's coming through there. And so I've been using Google Maps to see all the aerial views. And I'm like, okay, this greenway goes west for like 50 miles. These things could travel, well into rural territory. Nobody would even know. And most people don't believe you exist. Guess what? It's real easy to hide.
Oh, yeah. Very easy.
Yeah, that's like what you and I were talking before all this started. That's the one thing that surprised me the most when I started having activity out here and found out these things were real is, I'm in a semi-rural area. I thought they were way out in the middle of nowhere. And that's just simply not the case. They're right. Everything you're describing is pretty much kind of the way it is around here. We've got the big wildlife management area that gives them a lot of place, to run, but it's surrounded by homes and neighborhoods.
And that tells me they're pretty tame at that point. They're used to people, out here at this park. Like right now, it's soccer season for the kids. It's so loud. Right when you get back there, the back of the park is the soccer fields. Then there's like the way where the county sort of maintains it and cuts the grass and stuff to make sure the trails are safe to hike and walk and everything. But these things could be sitting in the tree line watching the kids play soccer, and nobody would be none the wiser. So, and they're curious, they're wondering what's going on. It's not like they got TV and crap like we do. So whatever we're doing, it's not a great channel. Most of us humans are pretty dumb. They can easily find something better to watch somewhere else. Same. I just tell all the girls because I work at a school, I just look for big hairy men in the woods. Don't say anything any further.
Yeah.
There's females
man.
too, but most women believe there's only male Bigfoot. And I'm like, how do you think there's a healthy breeding population?
No, there's definitely females out there, that's for sure.
For sure.
So what is your judging by what you were saying earlier, do you think there's a paranormal or liminal aspect to them?
When people talk about them being interdimensional and coming out of portals and stuff, I'll be dead honest with you. In the beginning, I kind of thought that there was a woo factor. I hate using the word, but that's kind of what's fallen into this sort of industry a little bit. Now, I think honestly that Sasquatch is it's a biblical connected thing. I don't think he's connected to a bloodline. I don't think it's connected to Noah's Ark. I think that post-flood, when there was the war in heaven, and they had it says it right in Genesis, when the fallen angels mated with the women, they had the Nephilim. I don't think Bigfoot's a Nephilim. I think Bigfoot is a forbidden construct of DNA manipulation. I think that the angels, they slept with women, they slept with primates, and all those DNAs can be found in these creatures. So I don't think that they have the ability to go through portals. I think they're more like Hercules, super fast, super strong, super quiet and stealthy when they want to be. But I don't think they have any sort of abilities to like mind speak or walk through portals or anything like that. It stops at just being massively huge, strong, quick, and quiet. What more do you need? That's where I think.
It's just as rational as everything else I've heard out there. You know.
Well, what do you personally think they are, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know. 100% I can tell you I do not know. I do know that I kind of started at the very beginning. I was very, very open to the spiritual aspect only because years prior I had had some very profound spiritual experiences, and I didn't know there was no crossover though. Like I had these spiritual experiences in 2012, and then a few years after that, and then about 2017, 2018 is when the Sasquatch activity started. So at the beginning, I thought that maybe that was a possibility, but the more research I did, the more experiences I had, and then especially after the day that as a group we had our sightings, like everything, you know, people talk about, oh, well, they just up and disappear. Well, once you realize that they can pretty much walk and intentionally be completely silent when they want to be, they apparently spend a lot of times on all fours. One of the ones that we saw going across the field was on all fours, and it was running about as fast as like a deer would run, super fast.
Terrifying. That is like running like a bear all fours, or like spider crawling.
It's one of, well, actually, the guy I saw one first, then Joe saw one, which was the smaller one. We call it a juvenile. For all I know, it was a skinny female adult. I don't know. It was about my size. Me and Joe both saw that one. Then we told Scott that we saw it, and that it was like on the trail in front of us making noise. Called him, told him to be ready. We continued going. We found fingerprints in the mud where it went down on all fours. We continued going out. We got to the clearing, and me and Joe were celebrating and going crazy and all this other stuff. And we meet up with Scott, and Scott says that after I called him, he got up in the back of his truck and he had a pair of binoculars. And a few minutes later, he saw it come out on all fours doing the spider crawl, like you just said. And it did a button hook and then turned around and went back in the woodlawn. And then me and Joe come walking out about, like I said, 10, 15 yards away. We had no idea it was there. It basically led us out back to where our campsite was. 40 minutes later, all three of us were sitting around the camp, and a bigger one, which I'm assuming was a male, ran across the pipeline right in front of us. Ran right across the pipeline, hit the wood line, turned right, and ran away from us. And it's the only way I know how to describe it, and I did a video about this. It almost looked like a frog when it was running, how it ran. when it would expand out, it was like Superman. Its body was completely flat like this. And then its arms and legs would come together in the middle, and then it would bound again and stretch out. And it wasn't just running straight either. It didn't just when it would bound, it would land. Sometimes it would land, and the only thing I can figure is there's a bunch of water out there in that field. And when it would run and it would expand and it would land, it wasn't just going straight. Sometimes it would land sideways, and then it would jump again. And I mean, it wasn't exactly like a frog because of how fast it was, but that's really the only way I know how to describe the mechanics of it. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. And
it's terrifying too, man. To think
yeah, I mean, if I would have been alone, it probably, I mean, it would have, I don't know what it would have done. I just thank God I had other witnesses with me. But going back to your original question, the further along I went, the more I found explanations to explain the things that seemed paranormal, just in their physical abilities and their intellect. I think when you combine those things together, you're basically chasing an X-Men. It's almost got superpowers just because of how fast, how quiet, and how smart it is. And it's obviously, to me, they seem self-aware. You have something that's so self-aware and so intelligent that it understands humans' mental and physical capabilities to the point to where it's confident enough to hang out in areas close to human beings and intentionally hang out without a fear of really being caught. You know, sometimes they mess up or whatever else, but you got to be really smart and very self-aware in order to pull that off, in my opinion. So as to what they are, I don't know, but as time moves on, I think I haven't seen anything paranormal, you know. Now the day I see one come out of an orb or materialize or disappear or do anything like that, I'll be the first one to tell. But I just have not experienced anything like that. So I think they're their
orb
own
video
species.
if you want it. I got a portal video. There's crap coming out of it, but I don't know if it's a Bigfoot. I'll go ahead and I can send you that via Messenger if you want to take a look at it.
Oh, dude, send me everything you got, and what I'll do is I'll put it together and put it on our Facebook page, or maybe even make a video and put it up on here. Whatever you would like me to put up.
Absolutely, man. That'd be awesome. And plus, it'd just be nice to get some more eyes on it. You know what I mean? When you're seeing this stuff, you're like, ain't nobody going to believe me. You know, it was me and Jake, and it's like he's got footage on his phone. I got footage on mine. And then it's like shared on my Urban Bigfoot Facebook page. But to actually have fellow researchers look at it and actually, you know, do something with it and give their own 2 cents, I'm all for it, man. We're all in this together, you know?
Yeah, I've looked at it.
It's definitely helped me out. I have had people find stuff in my videos. You know, I do my best to debunk myself because I don't want to put crap out. I'm not here to trick people. I'm not here to really entertain people. I'm trying to put good information out. And if somebody finds something and I've messed up or I got something wrong, I want to hear about it. I had a guy years ago. I can't remember exactly what was going on, but he found something in my video. I thought it was a sound Sasquatch was making, and it wasn't. It was something else, and he had really good eyes, and he found it in that video. And it actually saved me because I thought I had been hearing this. They were doing this particular thing at a particular time, and I was going to go way off in this direction with this whole hypothesis. Come to find out it wasn't them, you know. So it actually helped me out. So I appreciate it too, you know, having other people look at it. And it's always, people have to realize they got to quit being so hard on themselves. We're human beings. We're going to mess up, you know, and there's really no one's been 100% successful in doing this. There is no one that has accomplished long-term observation. So, I mean, maybe the government has, but, you know, nobody out here on YouTube has.
Hey, don't get us started on the government Sasquatch theory. I'll go all night on that.
Oh, well, that's why we're here. But yes, I agree. Long-winded. I agree with you. You know, having other researchers take a look at your stuff. it does me no good just to have people agree with me,
Yeah.
just because, we're all trying to learn and we're trying to prove it exists. And the only way you can do that is with real, actual evidence. So it's always a good thing.
And
Yeah,
once
it's
you
like-
see it too, like once you see one, you know what to look for. You know what I mean? You know the behavior pattern to look for. If you don't know what they are, or what they look like, and you haven't had an experience, it's kind of hard to explain it. It's like you almost got to have an experience and be like, okay, now I know exactly what you guys were talking about. People will come to me and say, I took a video and I don't see anything in it. You got to go into that editing mode, man. You got to drag through that frame by frame because that camera is going to catch what your naked eye is not. That's what I tell the people that are pretty new to it. Look into it, man. Go over your evidence later on. All them 50 videos you have that have nothing but open forest, I guarantee you're going to find some stuff if you go through frame by frame. And then I'll kind of analyze from that. I'll screenshot those, send them to Walgreens, get them printed out, that sort of thing. So that's what I tell the beginners. Go over your videos, man, frame by frame. I guarantee you'll find stuff. Or like we've been doing it a while, and people will be like, hey, I found something in your video. What? Oh, crap, you did, And I love that. You're bringing new life to an old video. We thought that was old news, and you're breathing new life into it.
No.
For
Yeah,
sure.
So tell us about this.
Go ahead.
Tell us about this research area a little more.
Basically, it is 2 loops. It's about 6 or 7 miles of hiking trails. It's the Orange Loop, which is where most of the activity happens. Like where you see me filming that tree line, that is from the outskirts of the Orange Loop because it runs right along parallel to the airport where I get all that action. Over on the other side of the forest, that's a bigger trail. There's a lot more sketchy stuff happens over there, but it's more like stuff being thrown at you, noises, things like that. You don't get as many visuals over there. And that connects to other people's properties, which Bigfoot doesn't listen to the no trespassing signs, obviously. So if we were to continue through all these sections, I'm sure we would find stuff that we've never even noticed before, because they tell you to stay on the path because it's tick season. I'm not staying on the path. I'm going off grid, man. And then all you have to do is go off grid a little bit off the path, and you will see where there's tree breaks at intersecting game trails. You'll see where there's, X's right above a game trail, like stuff that nobody would think anything of. They'd walk by and be like, oh, that's just windfall. That's not windfall, man. When you see a green tree 8 inches around, twisted and snapped over at the 8 or 9 foot mark, that's not the damn windfall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's this whole area, though. It's very squatchy, very woodsy, but you also have plenty of deer, healthy population of squirrels, chipmunks, rabbits. There's actually quite a few coyotes back there too. You can't hunt back there. It's just the back of the local park, just beyond the soccer field. So it's like these things have a free buffet, man. It's their golden corral back there. They chill out in the tree line during the day, and then they do their thing at night. A lot of times we don't even get to go in the woods there at night. It just gets too terrifying. You know that feeling in your gut that says, don't go any further. It's time to go. Like I listen to that every time. I try not to push the envelope too much because I also know that we're dabbling with things that we don't know a lot about. What we think we know, might not even be it. I'm open-minded. I hate when people call themselves experts. You're not a Bigfoot expert, dude. You're not. I hate that. I cannot stand that. We're all just students trying to learn this.
Yeah, I think where the expert thing comes in a lot of times is I've met some people who can, with almost photographic memories, that can regurgitate just about every single thing about Sasquatch that you would want to know. But they've never actually had a sighting or interaction. And you can still get away with being considered an expert without having any type of interaction. I mean, that's kind of where I guess that gets a little annoying, to see people, just rise to the top when they've actually had no, experiences or actually gotten evidence themselves. But, there are a lot of people that know a lot about this, but you're right. There's a lot to learn. Now, are y'all capable of spending the night out there? Can y'all camp out there?
I can't either confirm or deny. It technically closes at 10, but yeah, I've stayed back there a few times.
Okay.
All you got to do is because right alongside it, there's a subdivision. we would just park in the subdivision and just kind of cut in halfway, like, like the guardrails just in the back of subdivisions. We just park in front of that and walk in the rest of the way. Like, even if the cops did do a run back there, they wouldn't even see us because we're not parked there. We're parked completely outside the park. It's not like we're doing anything bad, but I mean, you gotta break curfew a little bit for Bigfoot. I'm willing to break the rules a little for some Sasquatch activity.
Yeah, that's the one bad thing about me, man. I'm a constant rule follower, and there is a big property that it actually separates me and part of the wildlife management area, and it's private property, and it's owned. I won't say who it's owned by, but there's nobody out there, and all it is trees. And I know for a fact that's probably where they're staying a lot of the time. But because I'm such a rule follower, I'll go like get out there, and I'm like, I'm gonna go do it, and then I'm like, damn it, I can't do it. I don't want to get caught, So, kudos to you, man. That's great.
We've been busted back there before, and I got out of it. I was like, sorry, officer, I dropped my phone back there, blah, blah, blah. It's an iPhone. Like, that got us out of that one. But how many times was losing your phone in the woods when you have no business being back there in the first place going to fly as an alibi with the police? You know what I mean? So he was a cool cop. He's like, you should have told us. We could have took the gator back there and got it. I was like, shit, we could have had fun looking for a phone I never lost.
Oop, there it is.
I just dropped my own. I got it, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Man, I hope they don't watch this podcast. You are busted.
But no, man, it's a great site, and it's 3 miles down the road. I mean, I'll walk there some days during the day just because it's a beautiful day outside. It's nice. I know, Richard, your site's pretty far away from you, so it is kind of nice to have a site that's literally your own back door, your own backyard.
Yeah, and I'm restricted where I know for a fact I cannot go out there at nighttime. It closes at sunset. I could probably park at one of the entrances and sit up on the back of my truck and run some night vision or thermal or something like that and probably be okay. But it's an area that really nobody goes to, but we did have a death out there a few years ago. Really, it was a murder. A young man, very young, 21 years old, was dragged out there and set afire alive, and it made national news. It made national news. It was pretty big. Florida even passed a bill now because he was at a party and a fight broke out. He pretty much lost the fight. When they woke up the next morning, he still passed out in the yard, barely breathing. So they loaded him up in a truck, took him out there, and thought instead of calling an ambulance or whatever, they decided let's just dispose of him. So they set him on fire. And so now they passed a bill that if all the people that were at the party that filmed the fight and filmed all this stuff are now in the future will be held accountable for not calling 911 or getting medical attention to somebody or something like that. So, so they kind of take it kind of serious. I'm pretty sure the sheriff's office will drive way out there because it's pretty far back there, but they'll take that road that passes all the gates just probably to make sure there's not a vehicle parked there at night and somebody hanging out there or something, because there's no camping, no hunting, there's nothing. You're only allowed to hike and bike, and it's a very, very large property where I go out there all the time and rarely come across anybody. So,
okay. But it's nice, man. I can just decide, hey, call my buddy. Let's go do some squatching. All right, 5-minute drive. There we are. But I actually scoped out a few other spots too. I think like on the opposite side of that tree line where I'm getting a lot of the action, that's where the River Raisin here in Monroe actually runs through. And I mean, every account we read, they're always by water. So you got the fish, the necessity to have to drink the water, the fact that it's a way to travel relatively unnoticed. And it's not far at all from that location. So I kind of want to see if maybe the waterway is the origin point. So we're kind of doing kind of like a grid pattern around that area to see what else we can find. We just had a sighting. I've spoken to you about it on the phone the other day on May 18th here on the opposite side of town from my research area. I think that that's one of the same Bigfoot that are in the clan that I believe they're in my research area. Because you can travel unnoticed around here. All the greenery is connected. If you follow the outskirts, it's still a lot of old farmland. The bloodiest battle of the War of 1812 took place here. And there's still all these old trails that the soldiers used back in the day that I believe the Sasquatch are still using. You know, they use the power lines. They use the railroad track pathways. They're like us. You know, why am I going to blaze a new trail if one already exists? And all those tend to lead right back into Monroe. So I've been doing a lot of like documenting locations and spots I want to try to see if there's any sort of correlation between that location and that location.
Have you have you found a lot of tracks in your area? I've found very few over the years because of all the leaf litter and the pine litter. But how's the substrate out there? Are you finding tracks? Or
The best time that I have found tracks tends to be late February, first week of March, like right after kind of like the winter thaw that takes place out here. They're always, because it's very mushy out there. There's a lot of puddles and stuff, and I found some great tracks around that time. This year, the job, you know, life kind of sort of took over more. I wasn't able to get out there and really get any good tracks. I've seen some faint ones, but nothing worth casting or even really getting a photo of. You know, a lot of half ones possible. But I do have some great tracks that I found at the beginning of last year, about February 28th, March 11th or so, somewhere in between that span, we had found some great tracks. There's 3 or 4 different sizes on the same path. A lot of people, Jeff Meldrum says they're human, but I'm like, maybe they could be human. But I'm thinking you have 3 or 4 different people, different size feet that are bare right there on the path. And yes, there is dogs, like there's dog prints with it though too. But I've also read a phenomena where animals that typically wouldn't get along during the day become friendly at nocturnal times. Maybe Sasquatch has a dog or something, or a coyote at night that's his buddy. Like maybe they have like a truce at night, and when the daytime comes around, they just kind of go their separate ways. It could be anything. I mean, I love Jeff Meldrum to death, but I'm not 100% sure they're human. There are some, what am I thinking of? I'm going blank here.
How did that come up?
Dermal ridges.
Did you know him personally? You showed him the tracks, or how did that
on my
come
Facebook?
about?
He's on my Facebook. I added him a while back. I'm like, shit, Jeff Meldrum added me to Facebook. You know, just picking all the pretty good names out there that I would love to have as friends. He ain't gonna, you know, accept my friend request, and he did. I made it my cover photo on Facebook the other day, and he commented on it and said, "These are human as they come, puppy in tow." You probably saw that, Richard.
I saw the comment. I did see the photo, and I think the characteristics of it is what he's looking at is, I think it's the toes, because like your hand on a human footprint, it goes from big toe at like a 45-degree angle down to a little toe, where mostly the Sasquatch are almost straight across.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a flat foot, somebody who's flat footed, where these are big toe, and then it kind of goes down to a little toe. You know, because I was watching, I didn't comment on it. I was I did see the post and stuff like that Jeff had put on there. And you hit liked on his comment. So
I did. I don't care. Whether I'm cool with that. I'm not going to argue with the guy. He's been doing this a lot longer than I have, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it like there's also 3 different size prints. One of them, the big toe, seems to be a lot more dominant, and they seem to be more splayed apart, you know, indicative of something that's probably never worn shoes before. Now, the real clean one that you see that Jeff commented on, I'm like, that could be human, but that was 6.5 inches wide from left to right, too. That's a big boy walking back there at the end of February with his dog.
6.5 inches wide?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn wide.
Yeah. My foot's probably like 3 or 4, but I mean, when you get up like this, and we're talking, you know, a track this big, that's a big ass human. Do I got Shaq walking his dog in my woods? You know what I mean?
Well, I think pictures are so hard to. I've had a bunch of people send me pictures of tracks, and I always tell them the same thing: it's not fair for me to look at a picture and tell you yes or no, you got a Bigfoot track. You know, I can't tell you from. No. You know, I can't tell you from a picture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, I can give you a good guess, but I wouldn't. Of course, then again, I'm not a professional foot guy either. So
yeah,
you know,
I share them because they were.
You don't have that fetish
place in the woods, and you know, I'm like, dude, this could be a human. I mean, it was a 65-degree day. Us Michiganders are weird. We're out grilling when it's 40 out with our shirts off. That's just how we
Yeah.
roll here. So there could have been a dude out there at that point, at that time walking. I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, the likelihood, it just isn't there for me. I'm not saying it's impossible. I can't 100% definitively tell you that's a Sasquatch track, but I can't 100% tell you it's a human either.
Right.
And I'm open-minded to it as it is. I mean, if it's something I think's worth sharing, I put it out there, and then I leave it up to you guys and all the other people that are interested to give their 2 cents. That's
Well,
part of the fun of this for me.
The interesting thing about you were saying the canine track, we have noticed that there is some type of correlation between the presence of coyotes and these things being around. And it's happened more than once that coyotes are in the area, and then we've had experiences or, other things. And I don't know what that is. It's reported a lot that, coyotes and Sasquatch being in the same area at the same time. And your guess is as good as mine, but for whatever reason, there seems to be a correlation from time to time. And I don't know whether they're maybe they're tracking and eating the coyotes, which I don't think that's really what's going on.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're following them for whatever reason, using them as an alert system. And then again, the coyotes themselves could just be going off and going nuts because the Sasquatch are in the area and they're not together at all. Because the dogs, that's another question. Have you noticed when these creatures are around that you have dogs in the area that are pretty much going crazy?
Yeah, and these dogs are they're nowhere near the site. They're at like somebody's house on the opposite, like here's the street. We're back here. You're hearing these dogs when you got the activity going on back at our site. For whatever reason, it's terrible. It's kind of like we got out here, it was fine. Stuff started happening, now the dogs are barking. You know what I mean? It's like they're alerting us to the presence. I have no idea, but you're right. I did notice that. I just never really thought too much about that. And that's
it's almost guaranteed around here that on nights that I have activity, like I can usually tell if I have 2 nights in a row of my dogs and the neighborhood dogs going crazy. Like my dogs will go to either the back of the house or the side of the house or to the other side of the house over and over again and being real restless. I could pretty much bet I'm going to have activity that week. That's how consistent it's gotten. I've got a couple different videos of me having activity, breaks, throws, and everything else, and you're going to hear dogs in the background. And I don't know if it's odds are, I tried to look this up the other day and I completely forgot what it was, but dogs can hear and they can smell from really far off. I think it's maybe a quarter of a mile away they can smell. I can't remember.
Wow.
But they definitely know when these things are in the area and they definitely respond.
That makes sense. And I thought too, maybe they're just using the same trail. They could be using the same game trails. They could have been the Sasquatch prints first, and then the following night or whatever, the dog just happened to walk through them too. There could be any number of things. If you don't see what made it, you don't know what made it.
Right. No. Well, my thing is with the, especially with the coyotes and stuff like that. What my theory is, that both of them use each other as an opportunity. I think if vice versa on this scenario, that if one or the other gets a kill, the other one will come and take it, because when coyotes are active at night, they're on the hunt. They're looking for food, and they're a pack hunter. I think if they catch something, I think maybe the Sasquatch comes in, takes the kill, or vice versa. Maybe the coyotes are following him, and if he gets a kill, they'll get the scraps. See what I'm saying?
Oh, that makes sense.
I think that's why we get a correlation of the two together. Not that they're buddies, but I think they're using each other for opportunity to eat.
Been mutually benefiting instead of kind of like fighting with one another over it.
But I think if a coyote got too close, it would become a meal as well. But I think they work off of each other. But that's my theory. I don't know, and but I do know that in the research areas and the places I go are pretty large, and you'll hear coyotes at night. They'll get going and stuff like that, and so we get that quite often. Right now, I'm trying to pay attention to like barred owls. There might be a correlation between barred owls and Sasquatch or something like that. Maybe the barred owl does not care much for the Sasquatch because we've had some activity, not long after or just before you hear barred owls. Maybe the barred owls alerting that hey, because a lot of birds and like me when I'm in hiking, I pay attention to squirrels. When a squirrel starts to bark, makes that
Me too. Me
he,
too.
he sees a predator. He's alerting nature, hey, there's a predator in the area. So I usually stop and wait and listen, especially when I know I'm far enough from that squirrel. He's not alerting to me. He sees something else. You know what I mean? So
That's
I'll wait
true.
because it could be a panther, it could be a bear, it could be something else. So I usually pause and wait a few minutes to see if something comes out or if I hear something.
Okay. Now, my next step I'm going to do during the day. Actually, no, I think I'm going to do it at night. I'm going to get gillied up. We're going to bust out the ghillie suit and do some natural, paint patterns according to how it is out there, and see if maybe a stakeout is in order, descent, that sort of thing. I know that obviously they have insane. I mean, let's face it, like you said, Johnny, they're like Wolverines from X-Men, pretty much.
Yeah.
Adamant, probably have adamantium skeletons. Who knows? But either way, if they can be outsmarted, like I think they possibly can, that might be a way to do it. Especially if you have one partner moving and the other one stationary, most of the interest is going to go on the guy that's moving versus the target that's observing, But if there's 8 Sasquatch out there and they're watching us the whole time, I honestly don't know. We just got to throw stuff at the wall and try what sticks.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Everything we do is trial and error.
Yeah.
You
One thing I learned, though, I stopped doing wood knocking. I stopped doing wood knocks because I know I'm never going to hit the tone or decibel that they're going to do when they hit that tree. And if I hit the wrong thing back and piss one off, that's all she wrote.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I put out recently on one of the discussions was, water wood knocks. How do you think you're doing it? Stuff like that. I lean more towards it being a vocalization because of the distance that you can hear these things.
Like a tongue pop or something like that?
Or even a mouth or something like that where, they may have that, what they call that sac, that extra area in the chest where you can vocalize a lot deeper and a lot further, like gorillas and stuff. Because you ever notice a gorilla hits his chest, his mouth is always open, kind of like a speaker. So as many reports that I've read and looked through and stuff like that, I've never had a report of the Sasquatch is walking around with a stick. And it's very difficult to find a stick good enough to hit a tree, let alone find a tree that's good enough to take the knock and make it sound like that, because most wood knocks are very consistent on what they sound like. So, and that's just me. Some people think it is a stick, and that's fine. I just lean a little bit more towards a vocalization.
I think if you're gonna wood knock, I mean, I'm not saying don't. I have my reasons for not doing it, but the best piece of wood that I have found would be like from a firewood cord. Just that triangular thick piece where you're not, if you have something longer, that sound's going to have to travel from your hand, to vibrate at the tip of the stick. If you just got like a cord of firewood, hit the tree a couple times, that sounds a little more solid and a little more along the lines of theirs. But if you walk out there with like a dowel rod from Lowe's or something like that, you're just not you're going to be completely off, and you might even just piss one off a little bit.
Yeah. The only people that I know that, because I don't do wood knocks either, because I want them to make contact, not me try to do something to them. But is people that buy the wood knockers from conferences and stuff like that. So basically a baseball bat, and but that's the only way we can get close to it. Just finding a stick on the ground quickly. Like if you heard a wood knock and like, hey, I want to respond, you're looking around, it's going to take you a moment to find something. And then some people say, well, they break it off. Well, you would assume you'd hear that break if they're breaking a branch to use. So I don't know. It's one of those things that there's a lot of ideas and theories about wood knocks. That's why I put it out there as a discussion to see what people had to say.
For sure. No, I mean, when I was trying everything, when I was new to like more of the field aspect of it, I was willing to try it all, man. Safety wasn't really a concern at that time. I was just like, hey, I knocked something, something knocked back. Hey, cool. But what's it saying back to you? You don't know what you could have told it to piss off.
Right.
Who knows? And,
Yeah.
I have heard stories. There are a few stories I've read where these things can speak broken English or try to in some aspects. But I mean, do you know about the 5 types of Bigfoot that are allegedly out there as well?
Well, the problem I have with typing them is, and Johnny brought it up earlier. There's been no long-term study of a family group where people can sit down and distinguish different types. You may, for example, if you were doing that, you have one type in your area, but a different type 100 miles away, and then a third type 1,000 miles away, or whatever. I don't think one single person has ever been able to do that type of research to type them. Now, when it comes to types, I'm thinking more or less like human beings. We're all human, but there's a definite difference between a Caucasian and a Asian, and an Asian and an African American, or whatever. We're all human. We just do look different. Some have wider noses, broader heads, whatever. And I think that's what we're running into is different looking ones. It's the same with like me. I personally don't believe in Dogman. I think that it's just misidentified, or if it does have a snout, I think it's just a variation of its genetics with its, as different like any other human. You know what I mean? Like
The
me and
ones with
you.
the snouts tend to be aggressive. The Gugway, I believe they call it. The snout ones, they call them Gugways. Those tend to be the
Right.
ones that are more aggressive, I guess. There's not a whole lot of them documented photo-wise. I know there's that Beast to 7 Shoots photo from British Columbia. That's about the only one that I've seen where it's holding like a dog or a pig or something, and you can clearly see like an elephant trunk coming off of its face. Those are one of the types that apparently go after humans. And I'm like, if you piss anything enough off, it's going to come after you. I mean, that's what I think.
Right.
So what were you initially going to say about the types though? Where were you going with that?
I honestly lost my train of thought a little bit on that because we got going
Well,
on more Bigfoot
Well, you
stuff.
mentioned 5 types. You mentioned 5 types.
Yep, and I believe, don't get me wrong, I know that all these are probably just a culmination of reports from all over the world since people started documenting Sasquatch. I know you have the type 1 would be like the classic Patty style Bigfoot. And then you would have the type 2, which is more, I believe, ape-like, more gorilla-like in nature. I believe the type 3 is the Gugway with the snout and almost more canine-like features, which could be what a lot of the Dogman misidentifications could be as well. Then you have the type 4, which is the more human-like. And then you have the type 5, which is the buckwas. That would be like the orang pendek and all the little like 4 or 5 feet little Bigfoots that people tend to see, like the little people. I believe that is the type 5. And I mean, obviously, I've never seen all 5 of the types. That would just be all reports culminated into one. That would be like primarily what people see. But who knows what people are seeing, and they don't want to talk about it because they think people are going to think they're crazy, and they don't bring it up.
Yeah. Let me jump in real quick. I want to address something in the chat room because
Sure.
there are people that are bringing up Todd Standing and his stuff and everything. Save those questions for next week because we will have Steve Cole on the show, and he knows a lot about the background and the history of Todd Standing, and he will be able to answer those questions. He has a lot of inside information there. So anything about Todd Standing, I really don't want to address him, but definitely next week, guys, bring up Todd Standing. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine, man. I'll be on. And Todd interests me too, so I'll watch it for sure.
Yeah, Steve Coles. He's got me and him talked on the phone the other day for a long time, and very, very interesting guy. And he has he's been doing it for a long time. He has a lot of information I didn't know. He threw knowledge at me, and I'm like, wow, I did not know that, or so it's really interesting. It's going to be a great show. So go ahead, go back to what you were saying. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine, man. And based off the 5 types, if I were to use that list to kind of pinpoint what I think are at my research site right now, I would have the more human-looking ones. So they have the hairy faces, but the hair doesn't quite go up to the eyes. You can almost kind of like how I am right here where the beard is. there's almost more of like you can see the skin here and then the rest is hair. They don't look very ape-like. They have more of a curious sort of like almost like a young adult that just happens to have a completely fur-covered body. They don't
Right.
they don't appear to be apish to me. But then I read other reports and it's like the Sasquatch at my site look more like gorillas. So clearly there are DNA variations for what
Well,
for whatever reason.
I did that also recently, where I created a couple of pictures with AI of different descriptions of Bigfoot, and one looked more. I had a subject A and a subject B. It was overwhelming on all the sites that I posted on that B was the primarily what people have seen or had encounters with. There were a few on subject A, but a lot of them were really focused on subject B being more of human features. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
do believe there are some with like a chimpanzee style muzzle or bulbish jawline and face. I think that there are some like that. You know, is it a different species or different what? I believe they're all the same species, just different physical characteristics.
Now, what do you think? I had a thought. I never really shared this with many people. This was just kind of one of those cool passing things. I was out there by myself one day just going for a hike. It wasn't even really like a research. It was just to go clear my head a little bit. Why don't they just take a gorilla to an supposed active Sasquatch site? Wouldn't that trigger some sort of territorial behavior between a Bigfoot and a gorilla? I mean, if they do have primate DNA, I would think that sending a silverback or something out there would probably trigger a Bigfoot to say, "Hey, what are you doing on my turf?"
That would be that would be great for someone who had the money to do it. There's
Yeah.
about a million different things that I would love to do, but without having the financial backing to pull something like that off. I don't know. Seems like somebody like a university or I don't even one of these TV shows. It seems like somebody would have tried. That's actually a really good idea. You may want to write. You may want to write the TV show and tell them, "Hey, why don't y'all try this out?"
All right, you guys are going in the credits. We got this.
Well, I think any animal that is trying to survive is going to be somewhat territorial on its resources. So
For sure. But I mean, like, what about maybe we get our hands on primate pheromones or something somehow?
I actually
it's
did
been
that.
done.
Oh, you did that?
You can-
Okay.
You can actually buy them online, and I bought them online and didn't have anything happen. But maybe they weren't here. Maybe they don't work. I don't know. I can't remember what the site is, but you can actually. I can't remember if they're marketed as a Sasquatch bait or not. It's been like 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
but you can actually buy it online. So who knows?
I think
Might
the
be worth
weirdest
giving
thing
a
I've
try.
had to, the weirdest thing we've done, or I've seen done, is going out with some guys, and one of the guys used the pads from his wife through her cycle and hung that from trees to see if the female odor or hair, pheromones or whatever from a female would draw something in. It didn't. It was disgusting, but they did it. So
That is determination right there. Let me tell you. That's
Yeah.
that's above and beyond what I'm willing to do.
well, I think that what I remember when we were done, I was like, we never went back and took those off the trees, and I can just
Oh my
imagine
God.
Oh, God.
somebody at some point hiking back there and seeing this thing hanging on a branch, going, "What the hell?"
My God. You have officially scared some poor strangers out of the woods for the rest of their entire life.
Yeah,
There's
there's
no
a
doubt.
homeless woman out here hanging her pads from trees.
I mean,
Good
think
Lord.
about that. Like, you take like a female pheromone, you mix it with some gorilla pheromones. Now we have, because if my theory ends up being the correct one somehow, where they are human and primate DNA, wouldn't mixing them together probably it brings something in? I'm sure.
Well, I'm open to anybody thinking outside the box, no matter how crazy it is and stuff like that. So
Well, it's
never
like
know.
Johnny was saying too. Like, you got to have the money to do some of these wild and out there things, but you're thinking about it, like you said, universities, organizations. Why wouldn't anybody just send a gorilla out that has the funding to do so? That tells me that, going down the rabbit hole of conspiracy a little bit, Uncle Sam's already well aware of the Sasquatch presence and knows for a fact that would probably work, and they just haven't done it, or they haven't done it exclusively to the public to be aware of it.
Well, if there is a government influence, I think they've pretty much let the universities know that, hey, don't go down that, don't go in that direction, or the universities just don't believe and they're just not going to waste the time with it. So
true, that makes sense. Now, what do you think about Melba Ketchum's DNA study? How they can't?
I
go ahead, John.
I have,
you go first.
I've known people on literally both sides of the whole incident. I knew an individual that was involved. They were basically involved in getting the samples, everything else. They vouched for it. And then eventually, I hate going down these roads with getting in other people's business and stuff. Basically, he said that there was a concerted effort to hide everything that they got. That there was actually another time where they got DNA samples together, and I'm not going to say his name, but who we were talking about earlier was actually involved in the cover-up. A very well-known researcher actually gave DNA to somebody they weren't supposed to, and then it disappeared. So there's that side. Then I talked to another individual that told me that they knew the people that backed Melba Ketchum, and that they had seen the emails themselves, and that it was just basically a racket, and she was draining them of money. Okay. Oh. So you've got two people, one directly involved, the other one wasn't directly involved, but said he knew people that were. And two completely opposing sides of the story. But one thing I did look at the other day is very interesting, because it's claimed by them that the DNA itself, that Sasquatch itself, is in GenBank or ZooBank. I can't remember which one exactly it's in. Which is true, but here's the caveat. That's not how that works. Just because it's in that particular thing doesn't mean the creature exists. The particular thing that they got it recognized in, is basically just the approved structure of the official name of something.
Okay.
So it's not even really that this thing exists. They've just gone through the process of officially getting the name recognized, is the way I understand the difference between what they're claiming that is actually in GenBank or actually in ZooBank, and what the reality is. I put it in Chat GPT and all that stuff, trying to figure out, where's somebody's lying. Somebody's not telling the truth.
Oh no!
So,
oh no!
Well,
Big news!
Well, I think the big thing, especially with Melba Ketchum, is when you have something big, okay, and DNA is a big study. It's extremely expensive. And I tell that to people that collect hair and collect that. Why collect it if you're not going to go send it off to get DNA tested? Two, it's $1,000 or more to DNA test something. Who's got that kind of money every time you find hair or something?
And that's just the baseline DNA. Right. That, from what I understand, the actual process you got to go through to really, that would make any difference as well in the, tens of thousands of dollars to run.
Correct. And you're exactly right. And that's a good point, because on the Melba Ketchum study, she did not go that extra mile. She did a basic study, and then anytime you do something like that, you have to do a peer review. It could, like even I peer review. Like if I find something, I'll send it to Johnny. Say, hey, Johnny, what do you think about this? It's a peer review. It's another person in the field. It's like you posting the footprint, saying, hey guys, what do you think? And then Meldrum getting on there saying, hey, I think it's human. She did not do that, and she didn't get it published, which is a big thing if you can publish it in. So what she did was she created her own publishing and published it herself. See what I'm
She
saying?
actually bought she actually bought the magazine
Right.
to be able to publish it. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
Nature, I
Interesting.
think it was.
So when you do those things like that, the route that she took, it muddies the water, and you wonder why there's so much controversy on your study is because you didn't do it the proper way. So it muddies the water. So now you've got this opposition on both sides saying it is or it isn't.
But on the other hand, too, though, if you got a government that wants to keep it quiet, or just in general, you won't. How about this? Happy Harris, when he had his event when he was 19 years old, he waited until he was 30 years later. He didn't tell anybody about it for over 30 years. He was embarrassed by it, ashamed of it, scared of it, blah, blah, blah. Right? Now think about like universities and actual scientists and everybody. Nobody wants to touch it. So saying that she couldn't get peer reviewed, well, it's because they don't want to do it. They don't want to. People don't want to touch it because they don't want to ruin their reputation. So it's a catch. Like people suggest to me all the time, because I've had things touched. I found a peanut butter jar one time. I've had things thrown. People always bring up the DNA thing, and I'm like, it's completely useless to even do that. I've seen these studies and these people be completely ripped apart. And even in the end, even if it is true, nobody believes it.
Right.
And for the people that do believe it, then what is it? It's just it's a catastrophe to
Right.
get involved in that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
It's the
other
same.
hand, too, you spend 10 grand on the DNA and it comes back and it's a freaking grizzly bear.
Right.
Right.
Like, damn it! Now I'm out all that money and it's nowhere near what I'm hoping to find and discover anyway. It's just there's too much uncertainty involved with it, in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
And that's
it's the same
that's another part of the story too that I was told about the individual that was saying he knew the people that funded it. Something about there was a guy that had tissue samples and hair, I believe, and he sent it to Melba Ketchum. Supposedly did the DNA, came back, told him that it was Sasquatch, but not to tell anybody because all they're going to do is come back and tell him it was a bear or make something up like that. Well, come to find out, he didn't send her the whole sample. She thought he did. He went and had the rest of it tested, and it was a bear.
Right. I heard that.
She's saying, don't tell anybody because they're just going to say it's a bear, and then he has it tested, and then it turns out to be a bear. So there's just so much on each side. I don't know who to believe, to be honest with you.
When you're transferring of hands, it's getting contaminated. You know what I mean? I'd rather if I find the sample, I'm doing all the legwork myself because I'm not going to trust anybody else enough to do it.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to deal with, man. I do have plans though. If I ever come across a body and all that, I've already got it written out. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yep, me too.
So.
Got a game plan.
For sure.
Got a game plan.
Yeah. I don't know what the odds of that happening are, but
it's the same with the PG film, because you got two sides, and that's what creates that muddies the water because one side can make a good point, another side can make a good point, but as long as there's two sides, you don't move that ball forward. So
yeah,
true.
Yeah. So, you got anything else for us, Scott, that you're dying to get out there, or what's the one thing that you learned that you didn't expect?
That I didn't expect. That's a tough one. I mean, because I didn't expect to find a Bigfoot in my local park. you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like because again, I was stuck in that they got to be in the Pacific Northwest. They got to be away from humans. It's like, I get it. I'd rather be away from humans too, if possible. That'd be fantastic. But the one thing that surprised me was they're literally outside pretty much every major city, it seems. They're everywhere, man. You know what I mean? And my advice to anybody who might be watching that's new to it or whatever, just enjoy it. Don't make it to where it's a mission to figure out what Bigfoot is, because you're going to lose fun. It's going to become more competitive. Just enjoy it, and share with people. It's all about the community and the camaraderie,
Well, that's what I
good.
tell people. It's a win-win for me. I get to,
Mhm.
even if I find something or don't find something, I'm doing what I like, which is being in the woods, hiking, being with nature and stuff like that. So it's a win-win.
For sure. Squatching
Yeah.
and fishing, man. You might not catch something, but you're going to have just as much fun as if you did.
Yeah, it's definitely enjoyable, and I've appreciated personally I mean, honestly, it's pretty much changed. It's not only changed my life; it's actually probably changed me as a person. Like I've literally had to work on myself. Like I'm a human being, and I've got personality flaws, and I've had to work on some of those flaws in order to accomplish, getting deeper into the community, getting to know people, interviewing people, uh, just learning how to do audio and video, all that. So for me, it's been a total, I love it. It's
It's a
absolutely
journey, man. Like you said, you learn
fascinating.
about yourself when you do this.
Right. Do you have a YouTube channel or just a Facebook page?
Just the Facebook page, but I'm thinking about doing the YouTube. I think that might be fun. Maybe even start up a podcast.
Well, I definitely, if you're actually, you're getting good evidence and stuff, do a YouTube channel. It's super easy.
For
I mean,
sure.
it's not that hard. Just take, like everything else, just takes. If I can do it, you can do it. I guarantee it. So, if you're,
Absolutely, man. I will for sure, and I'll let you guys know when I do that too. Maybe I'll do like a poll or something on the Facebook page, like how many people want to see it. Just let the people decide, because really, it's about the people who want to learn and the ones that share the interest like we do.
yeah,
It's not about
Yeah,
Bigfoot. It's about the people.
Yeah. When I started, I used YouTube because I was accumulating all this information and it was filling up everywhere. So I basically used YouTube as a place where I just put stuff in.
where you can save videos pretty
for
much.
free. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then it progressed from there. It just became, I was like, well, because if you look at what I'm doing today compared to what I was doing 2-3 years ago, it's night and day. And I've progressed. I've like Johnny says, you start learning how to do things better and producing something that's more, appealing to the people that are watching and stuff like that. And you get better equipment, stuff like that. And it's just been a progression in this field. And I'm very blessed and thankful that I've met so many people in this field. I know so many people, and I've networked very well, and I've got a lot of contacts that I there's people I can call and say, hey, I got a question because I can't figure this out, and they're able to explain it to me in a different manner and stuff. So it's been a progression. It's been fantastic. You know what I mean? So I encourage anybody do a Facebook page because it's easy and it's free and you already have it, and just put your stuff on there and don't worry about subscribers. Just put out the information. That's it. Just put it out. And if it's good information, then people will come and watch it and stuff like that. And not just put it on your YouTube. When I would recommend that you put it on your YouTube and then post it on your Facebook page, because that'll bring people to your channel and not vice versa. But it's a progression. It's definitely a progression.
That's a good idea. I think I will. I appreciate you guys giving me the advice on that for sure.
Well, the more people out there looking, the better opportunity the better the opportunity to solve this mystery. So
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hop off and actually head out to that site and grab my trail camera. So if I find anything good, I'm sending you both a bunch of crap anyway. Just be expecting that in your messenger.
Go for it, man.
All right,
Either,
man. I
you
appreciate
can send it directly in Messenger, and if it's too long, you can send it in the email. You can just send it to the SasquatchUnredacted@gmail.com.
Okay, you got it.
Excellent, Scott. We appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. Hope to do it again sometime for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. You have more stuff. I'm sure there's way more to talk about. This went a lot different than I thought it would. Usually we just like point A to point B chronologically. But this has been more of a discussion. I've actually really enjoyed it, Scott.
I like it when it's not just one person doing the talking, because we all like the same stuff. Tell me what you think, and that just keeps the ball rolling too. So,
yeah, man.
All right, guys.
Excellent.
You have an awesome night.
You too, man. Have a good one.
All right. Bye, guys.
You take care, Scott.
You too, man.
Cool, man.
Yeah, that was good. That was a lot of fun. Scott's definitely an interesting guy, and I hope he continues doing what he's doing and gets out there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look. I've only seen the one video that you put up on the Facebook page. I actually got a lot more questions on that and see if he went back and did comparison shots or anything. I don't know much about it at all, but it's definitely interesting. So maybe we can have him back on and go over some more of the actual physical evidence. It's definitely easy to do. So we need to start making that a goal, because it's literally it's just screen sharing pretty much is all it is. So we can make that a goal to be able to pull these things up. It's kind of iffy because we're already working with StreamYard, which y'all will see me drop off from either the camera or the mic. Usually it's because of the camera. And I do that because I'm on my end, I'm buffering. Right. So I'm trying to not, use up the bandwidth or whatever. And so once you start putting video on here too, the quality is not as good and you eat up more bandwidth, but it's something we can try out. So.
Oh yeah. And one night I did play with it, and I did a test session, not live, but just a test session. And I figured it out. I was like, oh man, I can do this. And then I forgot what I did. I totally forgot how I did it. So it's one of those things, if you don't do it all the time and everything, but I'm getting better. And now that, and it'll even get even better once you do whatever your plans are with your internet, because you're looking at getting Starlink and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Unfortunately for me, it's cable internet is not an option for me because of how long my driveway is, and they wanted I think it was $3,000 to run a new cable, and we don't even have the right type of cable for the internet we have now, so it's just a disaster. But yeah, I'm still looking into that. We'll see what's going on. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta get up at 2:30 tomorrow morning. I gotta go back to work, and after 12 days of being off, and I'm not very happy about that, let me tell you.
All right, man.
We call it. All right, man. So thank everyone for joining us. Scott, appreciate it, buddy. Richard, you have a wonderful night.
You take care, buddy.
All right.
All right, guys. Again, next week we have Steve Coles. Really excited about having him on the show. A lot of the questions that you guys had tonight about different topics and stuff like that, that is the time to ask this man. If you don't know who Steve Coles is, definitely check out Squatch DTV, or also the Squatch Detective. It's the same show. Fantastic show. He's great at breaking down different videos and pictures and showing you where this is good or this is bad. So it's really excited about having him next week. He's a podcaster. He's been on different shows on History Channel, Discovery Channel, and so forth. The man just has a huge resume. He's written books and stuff like that, which you can find on Amazon. Just type in Stephen Coles and you'll see the books that he's written. Fantastic guy. So I look forward to having him next week. You'll see it. I'll promote it as the week gets further down the road. And and hopefully you guys come and check that out. Again, thank you for being here. It was great to have Johnny back from vacation and being a part of the show. Um, Again, you guys are awesome. It was a great chat room, a lot of very respectful, open conversation. That's fantastic. Appreciate it a lot. You guys are just an amazing group of people. Um, Again, have a fantastic Father's Day, all you guys that are fathers or have fathers, which all of us do. If you don't, have a great weekend either way, and we will see you next week. And just have a blessed life. God bless you all, and we'll see you soon.